All right, everybody. We want to talk about ways to make money as a mom photographer when you are in a season where you want to be home with your kids more. And we're going to talk all about associate photographers, associate teams, associate models. Because we have thoughts about associating, because we both love it. But we also feel like if you're new to associating, please avoid certain things.
We have so many thoughts and feelings on this. And we also want to lay out all of this in a way where, like, again, no judgment zone. Like, we care about all the things. We just care about also like what's not just best for you, but best for clients. Mm-hmm. And that is what is the heart of the matter. What is best for clients? We will talk about all the things that we have seen that we don't think are great approaches, but also things about it that are great for your clients and for you.
Yeah. Okay. If you're new, like brand new, let's just break down associate teams.
What is an associate team?
So you are the umbrella. You are the brand photographer. You are the overlapping person. I am Jamie Tobin Photography, and I am hiring a subcontractor to work under my brand. So what they are doing, they are representing Jamie Tobin Photography. They are representing me, my brand, my business. Their business does not exist in this situation.
They might have one.
They might have one.
But they are JTP.
Exactly. Yes.
Have you had an associate team?
I've never had a team, but I have had like
people associate
I've
for
had
you.
people work for me. I wasn't personally ever interested in having a full team. Mm-hmm. Like it just wasn't for me. I didn't want to do it. But basically what happens is I would hire another photographer to either fill in for me or to work with me. But for the most part, it's filling in for me. So like if I get if I get 2 inquiries for the same date, I can have that. One of them I would photograph, and another one I would send somebody in place of me to photograph it for me, where I would still get the income. I would also pay that other photographer, and the client would still get the JTP experience.
Exactly. I've had an associate team before. For 1 year, it was 2 associates. And then for 1 year, it was 1 associate. And now I don't have an associate team anymore. But yeah, essentially they both had photography businesses, or it was when they had a full-time job and they shot weddings and they wanted to continue to shoot more weddings. So they shot for me, for Alex McCrary Photography, AMP. They were representing my brand, but they would be the ones taking the images. But then they would give me the files, and then I would edit. I would do all that so that it was still consistent.
Yours.
I trained my associates. Like I shot with them. They second shot for me. They knew how I shot. They knew the settings that I used. They knew how I interacted with my clients. Like it was all one essentially.
Okay. So why don't we cover that first, of how to train your associates. If this is something you want to pursue. So like legit, we are approaching this as if this is something you want to do it. So in our head, the right way to have an associate team is to train that photographer, because you can't necessarily go up to someone and expect them to know your brand and to just do things how you do it if you've never explained it to them. So if I wanted someone to photograph like JTP, I almost like consider it an intern position. Like you need to follow me around at weddings. You need to see how I interact with clients, what I would expect from you, because in a way you are a boss, even though like paperwork tax wise, it's all like subcontractor. But like if you want them to deliver the JTP, your business name experience, you have to train them. So for me, that would be having them follow me around, second shoot, even being like a third shooter and just observing. I would also encourage doing like separate sessions. So you can be like, this is how I approach this angle. This is how I approach this lighting. This is how I pose. This is how I talk. This is everything me.
I also sent them a guide. Mm-hmm. So it had all that stuff in writing. Like, and it had, this is how I do this. This is how I approach this. Here are my go-to poses and prompts so that they could reference it like at a session or on a wedding day.
Well, and like one thing I want to note, like from just a personal experience, don't just give them a gallery and say, this is how I shoot.
No, I physically was there with them, or they shot engagements with me. They shot weddings with me. I also, a little plug, that's what I was just looking up really quick, is I got Grace T put out an associate course. And it was very good. It was very thorough. And I'm not sure if she's offering that again soon or not, but that was really good. So make sure that you are just like checking in with somebody or working with somebody who has had a team and like ask questions, follow through, have a like an onboarding process, so to speak, for your associates.
Because if you just send someone a gallery, they don't know how you got to that image. They don't know, because like some people, like I was actually just talking about this at a TikTok, like some people might look at my work and be like, oh, she's documentary. And I was arguing, well, not arguing. I was talking about how like sometimes I don't feel like documentary totally is my style because I'm not 100% hands off, but I'm also not 100% hands on. I float somewhere in the middle. And like, so that's why I need to talk to a potential photographer who's going to work for me. Like, this is how I approach this. This is what I would expect. This is how I would handle this situation. Whereas if you're just looking at a gallery, they might think, oh, well, she's just in the background. But then like I would get the photos back and I'd be disappointed because I thought that's what you meant, but like there was a miscommunication.
Yeah. And we can't give legal advice or anything like that, but also make sure you have contracts in place. The legal page has some great associate contracts.
We should put Grace's course.
We should put Grace's course and Page's.
Yeah, because I have Page link. Anyway,
so make sure, because they're not an employee, they're contracted from you. And so having even if they do it for you, you need to have a contract for every wedding, for every couple, with that associate, with their pay rate, with what they're expected to shoot, the location they're expected, like that all needs to be in place as well.
Yeah. Okay. Logistics, training them, second shooting with them, having like a separate styled shoot. I believe that's even like Grace has talked about that with you, is like having a styled shoot for your associates so that you can get together and do all the things.
Well, that, and then you have cohesive content. So like if you have a page that shows your team on your website, you all have headshots that look the same. You have a team photo together that looks the same. That way it fits in really well too.
So say it's when we were like circling back to our pregnancy episode, where it's not like you want a team, but you do need help. What would you do in that situation where it's like, well, I don't want to have a whole page on my website. I just need someone right now.
Is it a client that's already booked?
Yeah.
If it was a client that was already booked, I would start working with that person now. Like find an associate, start training them how you do something then and now. Or if you have a close photographer friend who can help you out that you're close with, that you already know. Like, you know, if I was to have a wedding and let's say I had another kid and I was going to go into labor, like I would call Jamie. Having that person that knows already. Otherwise, if you are like early pregnant, you're just finding out, you're like, I don't really have somebody I know that I can trust. Do not wait. Like find somebody now that can help you, send them a contract, get involved, like get them trained, see if they're a good fit, and then go. Like you need to have that in place. Like do not wait.
Well, and like the associate model is great if you're trying to make a little extra income and be home with your kids. Like you're handling all the back end, but your photographers are out there doing all the legwork. Like it can be great. I also want to talk about like some of the bad experiences we've seen and also experienced. And then just like what things you can do that you may not know if you are planning on having an associate team, like how to avoid like pitfalls basically. Because I feel like we've all seen the Facebook posts of I hired so-and-so company and they didn't even have a photographer for me. And then they showed up and my pictures are terrible. Or the lead photographer didn't realize they were getting hired by a company. And then that client never gets their photos. And then they're like, well, I don't know what to do because I also never got paid.
Or you show up as an associate and they don't know. They don't know that the associate is showing up and not the lead.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Because that's just going to create distrust with clients. But also, like, I don't think we as two people can take on the associate companies. We can just help spread awareness that they're out there and hopes that every client gets a good wedding experience.
I got a DM probably 6 months ago. I don't know. That was, hey, we have a couple in this area and we need an associate photographer for it. Could you cover it? And it was to me from some company that was based out of like Florida or something. It was like somewhere, and it was for a wedding in Iowa, like near me. And they were looking for somebody for the next weekend.
Yikes.
And I literally, I was like, do I try to find it? All I had was their first name and their location. And it was like a church. Like, it's not like I could have reached out to a venue or something, but I wanted to be like, first of all, I wasn't available. So what were they going to do? And second, like, that's a couple's wedding day. And so for me, when I'm looking at these companies that are trying to just find photographers in these areas,
mass money,
it's just for money. Yeah. And I'm like, this is somebody's wedding day. Does this couple know that you don't have a photographer to cover their day? That's a big deal.
At least to us, it really grinds my gears.
That's a huge deal. Like, I sat there the rest of the day and I was like panicking. Like, can I find this couple? Like, can I do something about this? Like,
that definitely, please don't do that. If you want to start an associate team, please do it for the right reasons.
Well, and couples are starting to catch on. Yeah. I think it's causing a lot of distrust with wedding vendors, especially ones that aren't local, that they can't actually meet up with. And they don't want to book people that are in a different location because of scams and stuff like this that happen.
Mm-hmm. And it grinds my gears because as someone who loves to help my friends, I will step in the moment you need it. And like, or I will gladly help. I will gladly associate. I'm addicted to weddings. I am. But it drives me crazy when I see people get into the wedding industry for money. And don't get me wrong, the wedding industry is worth like what? $2 billion?
It's a lot.
I get it. There's money in every industry. There's money in tech. There's money in gaming. Like, there's money in every industry, and I know there's always going to be those people, but we're encouraging you through our podcast. Please, if you want to start an associate team, do it for the right reasons.
It's also a big deal. I think we become you can become numb to that because you do weddings so much. You're like, okay, it's a wedding day. Like, it's a wedding day. Remind yourself, like, it's somebody's wedding day. It's emotional. It's a big deal. And just because you do it every weekend, they don't.
Right. like
they don't go to hype about this.
Yeah. They don't go to weddings as often as we do. And I mean, I went to a wedding with you yesterday, and of course we asked the client, like, hey, it's okay if I have like my assistant with me.
Yeah.
Always double check. Yeah. Because some clients
it was an intimate wedding, and I was like, hey, is it okay if I bring Jamie with? Like, we traveled this weekend, and if it's not okay, like, that's totally fine. And they were chill with it. But
I would have sat on the
check
corner.
Everything. Yeah, I just like stuffed you in the van.
But like, I'm watching you work and I'm witnessing this wedding and I'm like crying during their vows because I'm like,
it's so sweet.
So sweet. But also, like, I feel like you can just tell when certain vendors are in it for the money and certain vendors are in it because we're obsessed with it and we love our jobs, and we want to make this industry better, which is why we made the podcast, which is why we're trying to help mom photographers, because associating is a great way as a mom photographer for you. If you want to be the associate, look out for these things as you're getting hired. That leads me into
a question. If somebody was like, okay, well, how do I know when I can do that? Like, when can I have an associate team? For one, if you are getting more inquiries than you can handle, like if you're getting inquiries for a lot of the same dates, and you're like, okay, I really want to serve these couples and I really love these weddings, how can I do that? And you want to keep up with that influx, that is a sign. It's also a sign if like you're getting inquiries and like, you can book like however many you want to book, but you want to take a step back and you want to focus on like, oh, I want to spend more time with my kids, or my kids are getting older and they're in sports and I don't want to miss some Saturdays of their soccer season. My daughter's playing a soccer game right now, but I'm like those are some signs of when you can know like, okay, yes, this is a great time to start like implementing having an associate.
And like on the flip side, if you're wanting to spend time with your kids and you know that you don't want to do the back end, you don't want to edit, you don't want to market, you just want to work on those Saturdays, do it. So like you can search out associate teams and like you can search out in your network, because like there might be photographers that already have an established associate team in their area and they might need another associate, or you could literally approach them like, hey, I really want to take a step back in this part of my business for this season. I'm trying to figure out everything I want to do, and I still want to keep working, I still want to stay current, but I just want to get paid and I want to do what I love, but I don't want to be responsible for editing, marketing, culling, client communications.
You want the action of the day, but then all the other stuff you don't really. And this depends on who you are associate shooting for. some photographers will let you use those images after they're delivered too. So it is a good portfolio builder, but not everybody does. Everybody's rules are different. So make sure you check into that. But if you want more portfolio work and you don't want like the heavy lifting of all the other business stuff, or you're just getting started, second shooting and associate shooting are great for portfolio building if that photographer allows.
Well, and I also enjoy associate shooting because like you might need like a quick paycheck or something like that. Like say like something came up kid wise and you didn't fill that date, but like you might be able to still fill your calendar. Like if your wedding season was slower or something, like you might still be able to fill it with associate jobs or
second shooting.
Yeah. Second shooting is pretty, like, I actually really enjoy second shooting.
I like it because I'm like, they're doing what I love without being in charge.
Yeah. It's like you get to experience the full creative brain.
Well, and it's the part of the brain that like when I hire seconds, they focus on a lot of like, I love focusing on all the little candid detail moments too, especially like grandparents. But the second can really focus on everything around the couple. Like they can really focus on family, friends, grip and grin type photo. Like they can do all that stuff. And it like sparks a different side of my creative brain when I'm a second, because I can get the opposite. Usually when I'm second shooting for somebody, they're shooting something in front of them. I will physically like turn around and I'll look at people's reactions to what they're doing or something that's happening on the complete other side of the room. And it's just like I needed this in my cup and I didn't even realize it.
Well, and I feel like that brings up still the point with associate shooting. So say you want to start an associate team, but you also want second shooters in your packages. You need to train not only the associate shooter, you need to train the second shooter. And you need to show them exactly what you want and do it. And also have them watch what you want and over communicate what you want.
Yeah, that's a good place to start too. If you have somebody that second shoots for you all the time and they've learned how you shoot and how you like to shoot, that's a good place to start for somebody as an associate. Like, hey, actually, I'm thinking of taking on associate weddings. Would you like to shoot them? Because they already know how you work.
So I feel like we should talk about marketing yourself as a brand with associate photographers and the right ways, the wrong ways, and what things you should be doing, but also keeping in touch communication wise with your associate photographers and not like just being like, oh, hey, last minute, is anyone available in a Facebook group?
Well, and even the process of how it works, right? Like what all does an associate handle versus what the main handles. And
sometimes that can be so awkward because you're like, do I answer this question? I don't know.
So for me and how I did it, and again, this works differently for different people and what works in your workflow, I handled everything. The only thing I did not handle was physically showing up on the wedding day. So I handled communication, I handled editing, I handled the consults, I handled all of that. And then when it came to the engagement session, I would give my associate and my client each other's numbers. And then I would help plan, like coordinate kind of like what day works for an engagement session. Here's the dates that work for whoever's on the team. And then that day and like pick out a location and time, but then they'd have each other's numbers. They would go shoot like the engagement session. At first, when I had my team, I would also go to the engagement session. So it was me and the associate. After they like felt more established, I would just be like, okay, like you got it. And then they would meet on that day. And sometimes they would also be on the consult call. Like we would have a meeting before the engagement to kind of meet. Not always. It depends if the client wanted to or not. And then they would have met at the engagement session. So my associate did the engagement session further down the line alone, but before it was also with me. And then other than that, I did everything. And I don't know about Dubsado, but you threw shade the last episode, so I had to do it. In Honeybook, you can add more clients in a project. And so I could assign a project like to a team member. And so they would be assigned, they would see my entire email thread. They would see every questionnaire. They would see every file. So they had access to all of that too.
I want to say there's a team member section of Dubsado, but I've never used it because I don't have a team.
Right.
I know there's a button that's like assigned to a team member and I assign it to myself. Yeah. But that brings up a really good point of like basically over communicating, not only with your client, but with the photographer that you are trusting with your client.
They knew every communication we had because they could read all the emails. They could see all the questionnaires. They could see all the files. They had access to everything because I wanted them to be aware and know everything of how to take care of that client.
Well, and I think when I first started associate shooting for photographers, I didn't know what I didn't know. So like, I'm not mad at anything. I've learned like, oh, I really like this. And now I expect this because this helped me be a better associate photographer for this photographer. Because like when I first started associate shooting, I approached it with my style and that was wrong. But at the time I didn't know because I thought I was just, oh, okay, I'll do it my way. But I really needed to do it the brand photographer, like the person I was working for's way, because that's why that client hired that person and not me. Right. It has nothing to do with me. I'm not promoting me or my business. I am all about XYZ photographer that day. And I still try to still be my friendly self. Like I'm not being fake or anything like that. I'm just trying to make sure that this gallery is what that photographer is going to expect. And then I also need to be upfront about things that I need, that I learned that I needed. And so it's like, I need that over communication. I need to know if the client knows I'm coming. I need to know the timeline, the locations,
Please send
the logistics.
Me the timeline. Please tell me where to be when.
The family names. And
I need the formal groupings.
Don't say mom, they're divorced or those situations.
Or no, we don't want this type of photo. Or we do want
so-and-so is dead.
Yeah, right.
And like, because I get so beat red and embarrassed when I put my foot in my mouth because I'm like, and I hate saying the sentence too, because like I know in my clients, I would know this information. And then when I don't know that information, I feel flustered because I'm like, I feel like I'm failing because I didn't know the information.
Right. And make sure your communication is clear too. Like your client should know who questions go through and who to reach out to. They shouldn't be like, well, do I reach out to my main photographer or should I ask the person who's actually shooting the wedding? Like let them know. And like, typically that goes through the main photographer. Like every question, everything goes through the main photographer. The associate's job is to show up and shoot like that photographer.
Well, and that's all the associate is getting paid for at the end of the day. Right. They are getting paid to show up on one day.
They're getting paid to show up and
clock
shoot.
Out.
That's it.
And deliver the photos.
And maybe the travel, depending on where it is. Like that is it. That is it.
Like if you want the associate to handle more of the back end, that needs to be communicated.
Right.
And then they also need to be compensated for it.
Exactly.
Because nobody works for free here.
Yeah, no.
But as busy mom photographers, if you are thinking about either joining an associate team or starting your own associate team, these are just tips that we have learned over the years of like bad experiences, good experiences. And I'm trying to think of
Can I say like it's not really a hot take, but it's like the one thing that drives me nuts.
Do it.
Is when I see people looking for associates last minute because they need one, like in these Facebook groups or whatever, where they're like, oh, I just booked this wedding. Can anybody associate shoot it for me? Like they're literally just booking these associate weddings just to get more weddings on the calendar. And they don't have it covered. They've never had an associate team before. They don't have a system. And I'm not saying you have to like, obviously, when you start doing it, you've never done it before.
Right.
Like, that's not what I mean. But I just mean like trying your best into organizing it and have a thought out plan. Don't just cold book weddings and then be like, oh, I need somebody to cover that for me. That drives me nuts.
Well, like it's a very small community, the photographer community. And when we see, or when we've gotten an inquiry for a venue on a certain date, and then we see it in a Facebook group like months later, like, hey, can anyone associate this for me? I found a different wedding I want to book. But you know for a fact that inquiry reached out to you, but then they booked
you had that
person.
Date open and then they booked with that person and then that person is looking for an associate to cover that date. When
does the client know?
Could have handled that. Oh,
I guess that's my like grievance is, and I know at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with me. They ended up not booking me. And it's a canon event and I just got to let it happen. But I'm sick of letting it happen.
My grievance is people booking things just to book things without thinking about the client, not putting the client first and booking to book up your calendar. That is my grievance.
Mm-hmm. I honestly, that's my hot take that yes. That I will sit on that hill with my coffee.
Associate teams are not innately bad.
They're not.
How you run them matters.
Yes. And how you treat the client and the photographer matters. Jinx. But like, because like at the end of the day, it is a business. You want to make money. I get that. And you want to do things that make sense for your family.
There are so many people that
business.
run associate teams right.
Yes.
Like I want to put that out there. There are so many people. I never want somebody to listen to this and be like, oh my gosh, are they talking about me?
No.
Oh my gosh, my associate. You know what I mean? There
like
are
9 out of 10.
so many ways to do them right. It's just that
we want to help you avoid these pitfalls that we
Yes.
have seen that drive us crazy.
Yes.
Which is the big companies and like
booking
don't work for the big companies. Please don't, because you're not going to have a good experience. And so many people don't get paid. Or they're contacting you last minute and then you don't know anything and then don't show.
Or it falls back on you. If you're trying to start a photography business and you work for a big company and then that company doesn't send the images or they have an awful experience, well, you also showed up.
Right.
So it might get tied to you too.
Right. Even though it had nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think our biggest things is if you want to start an associate team, do it. Over communicate, over train, like really take the time to be involved in these photographers' education that are going to represent you and your brand, because they're representing you and your brand.
We are in the business of people and caring about people and serving people.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of your people.
I was gonna say,
take care of your people.
I'm like, I think we hit the nail on this one.
We could just be like, you know what?
You know what? Like, would I do an associate team? I'm still in.
I'll never say no, because different seasons ebb and flow and pivot. You know what I mean? I'll never say no. Right now, no.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't done it. I didn't do it this year. I don't plan on doing it. But it is a really good way.
It can be really fun. It can be
grow
really
your
good.
business.
I just want to encourage you to take the time to research it. Like legit, we're going to put Grace's course in the show notes. Take the time to learn about associate teams and how to do it the right way. And just take the time to do it right, please. Because like they're really good when they're done right. Because not only are you helping support maybe another mom photographer or another photographer in your area or a newer photographer who wants to gain the confidence. And like, I love that. I actually love taking on newer photographers and I'm like, I'm dragging you up with me. Let's go.
Yeah.
But like, I just want you to do it right. And you don't know what you don't know, but this is why we're putting it out there, because there are resources to help you learn how to grow other revenues of money, like everything money in your business. I want to see associate teams trend in a good way. And I want to stop seeing the things in the Facebook groups where it's like, well, I hired this person and they said they backed up my images, but then they never gave the lead photographer and I never got paid. And I'm tired of seeing those stories in Facebook groups. I want to see how like I have X, Y, and Z on my team, and we just did a retreat for the 3 of us, and we just booked this elopement, and then like we all got to hang out together, and then the client got to have fun with us. I want to see more of those stories.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's hard because we live in a time where we're trying to keep up, because we keep saying like, oh, I already hit 6 figures this year and I booked a 20K wedding and I booked, and so we're like, oh, how else can we grow? You know what? Associate team. Like, I think it's just, it seems like an easy, like cash grab way to grow. I am serious type of thing, but it's like, you just make sure you execute it the right way.
Well, that brings up like a whole nother thought of like cash grabs. And like, I did try to do photo and video once to, up the revenue in my business. But also like, I was like, oh, well, I can do it better. Like I can do both.
Husband and wife video teams crush it.
I tried.
They're out there crushing it.
Yeah. It wasn't for us. My husband just wasn't comfortable being in the wedding world. He couldn't handle the pressure. And that's totally fine. He was just like, I would rather be your IT guy, your guy behind the computer. I really don't want to be the guy behind the camera. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Like, that's fair.
And I feel like there's so many ways you can up your revenue, but like, just you're going to know what feels right and what doesn't feel right. And I want you to try it. But also always try it the right way. Like take the time to learn how to do it the right way. That's our lesson in this is like, if you want to do an associate shooting, please take the time to research it and do it right. Do it right or don't do it at all. I sound like my mother.
Care for your couples over cash grabs.
Yes. Okay.
Couples over cash.
Do you have any other final thoughts on associate teams?
I think so. I think we nailed that one.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you have questions or if you want to talk about associate teams or like if you think you want to get started with an associate
Slide
team,
into our DMs.
you know the drill.
I wanted to beat you to it that time.
Okay. We will talk to you real soon. Ask us anything as always.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.